But I'm going to introduce you to my friend, Dr. Sebastian Gorka. He hosts a show on this station, AM 870 The Answer, America First, every day at noon, AM 590 The Answer, every day at 8 p.m. He's a fantastic author, and he has filled in on this program a few times, too.
Yes.
Seb, good morning.
Good morning. Hello, Tom.
Nice to meet you, Sebastian. I can't call you Sab. I don't know you well enough. Nice to meet you, Sebastian.
Call him Dr. G.
Dr. G. Okay, I will.
All right, so I got to warn you, Tom's a liberal, Seb, but he seems like he's... Yeah, I know.
But is he lovable or is he not lovable? That's the question.
Totally lovable. And he's very nicely dressed. You would approve. He's got a vest on and a tie. So you two are the best dressed men in radio, that's for sure. All right, NBC this week had one of their medical contributors, Vin Gupta, come out and say, Seb, that racism is a bigger killer than coronavirus. I don't know if you had a chance to hear that audio, but certainly if you missed it, this is what he had to say yesterday.
We want, as much as anything, for social justice to take the center stage, because poverty, racism, they are actually bigger killers than coronavirus by the statistics. So this is the right thing to do, but to do it safely.
So, Dr. Gorka, is racism in this country today, in 2020, a bigger killer than the coronavirus? And actually, I'd add in, can either of these things be considered a big killer today in 2020?
I don't know what he's smoking, but I'm not sure it's legal. The idea that racism...
He's got a prescription pad.
Yeah, clearly. He didn't get it from me. Let's talk about things that we can prove and aren't just pie-in-the-sky talking points from the DNC central headquarters.
He did say poverty, you two. He did say poverty and racism. He did. You two are leaving out one of the ingredients. He said poverty, which includes starvation. That pumps up the numbers.
Kind of like Brian. He doesn't let the guests talk.
Okay, sorry.
So let me respond. So let's talk about things. How poverty kills people is not an easy thing to actually demonstrate. But I'll tell you what's easy to demonstrate. In the last 15 days since George Floyd was tragically killed, 17 people have been killed by rioters. 17 people. The protesters, the BLM, and everybody else is shouting, no justice, no peace. 17 people, including a 22-year-old beautiful young woman, a 77-year-old retired black police captain, have been murdered as a result of the anarchy on the streets of America. Let me talk about something else that is demonstrable death. This weekend in Chicago, in one 24-hour period, 18 people in Chicago were murdered. If you want to solve the really burning issues, you need to get a grip of the Democrat-run cities where poor black people are being killed every single day.
And I'd have to ask, and and I'm not making you the spokesperson here, Tom, but
yes.
If there were, let's just say this defund the police effort or dismantle or disband, all of these words are being used about law and order and police officers. If we did disband the police in Chicago, do you believe that the number of murders would go up or down?
Oh, well, the number of murders would go up. I don't think they would do that in Chicago. And I think also people are taking advantage of that concept. They do want to give them less SWAT weapons and try to move. They want to move the money around, not necessarily disband and get rid of police.
Some of them want to dismantle and disband. I mean, the city council in Minneapolis certainly wants to.
I will tell you this. One of the reasons why I was against the Iraq war, the Afghan war, was because we can't figure out Chicago. We can't figure out Sunnis, and we can't figure out Shia, and we can't figure out Shiite, and we can't figure out the difference between all that and Iraq and Afghanistan. Who's the good guys? Who's the bad guys? We can't figure out who the good guys and the bad guys are in Chicago. And we can't figure out our own gang issues in the United States of America. And that's why I was always against going and trying to figure out other complicated cultures in the Middle East.
Tom. It's not about figuring it out. Come on. Let's be honest here for a second.
Okay.
We know who the bad guys are, but Democrat mayors and Democrat commissioners don't want to do anything about it. You're telling me you don't know who the bad guys are on the South Side? Come on. That's disingenuous. This isn't tribes of Sunni tribesmen. These are cities that have been run by Democrats, whether it's Baltimore, Chicago, for decades and decades.
Well, whether cities are right, and whether
when you have the mayor of Minneapolis say, "Leave the police station to be routed and burnt down by the protesters. It's not a question of not knowing who's doing the bad stuff. It's not having the stones to do anything about it.
Well, also, when you take a look at the millions of people who protested, it was a very few, and probably not even people who were political, who caused the trouble. Let's take a look. The same thing where there's a few bad apples in the police department.
Antifa's not political.
There were a few.
Antifa's not political.
Yeah, I don't know that much about Antifa because I don't even know if that's real. What I know is real is
you don't know if Antifa's real.
I don't know if that argument is real. There are hundreds of thousands of people in the streets who don't belong to any particular political organization.
And I think that's actually the problem.
Upset about police brutality.
So, Seb, and comment on this because what I'm seeing are a lot of.
Hang on a second, Jen. I got to address this. Police brutality. Let's get real for a second. Police brutality. 9 black men were killed unarmed during arrests last year. 9. In a nation of 330 million. In Chicago, 18 were killed in 24 hours. It's bogus.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you on that part for sure. I think that's a blown up narrative, and this is the point. And I'll get both of you to comment here. We'll have about a minute for both of you.
Okay.
When you hear this Black Lives Matter movement, I think there are a lot of people who are caught up in the emotion of seeing this horrific video that no one has stood by and said this officer should not be prosecuted. Everybody is saying how horrific the death of George Floyd was. And so there is a lot of emotion out on the streets. But what's happening is something bigger, and that is that the progressive movement in this country is trying to mobilize these people based on emotions and totally burn down and rebuild the way the country is set up. You've got people who are calling to disband the police force, and they don't really know what it's going to look like when they do that, but Black Lives Matter on their website says that we want to get back to community raisings of family. We want to get rid of traditional family structures. We want to get rid of the way people come together traditionally in family units right now. And I submit to you, and Seb, we'll start with you, that what's missing from these communities and why we see so much crime in this country anyway is the destruction of a family.
Oh, man, just ask Larry Elder, ask the sage of South Central. If you create a welfare state, which is what the Democrats created in these cities, where you are incentivized as a single woman to have children out of wedlock, you're actually incentivized because you'll make more money if you're not married. If you don't have positive role models who are male in those families, if you've got atomized families, this is what you get. If you get married, if you finish high school, if you get married before you have children, you are already on your way to success. And Larry Elder has been talking about this for decades. Everybody knows what the true recipe for success is, but the Democrats want to have their political plantations. Since the 1960s, this is about replacing real plantations with political ones and having people enslaved to the welfare state. And now they're going for the end run, and America needs to wake up.
There are plenty of houses that don't have fathers because dad's dead. Plenty of houses that, like my house when I grew up, my mother wasn't a liberal activist. My dad died. She had to raise 2 boys. And so there's no breakdown of the family there. And another thing is, we've never cared about the family. We send men off to war. Men put their country before God and before their family.
Your personal experience indicative of the country as a whole. More than 70% of black men or children are born out of wedlock. 70%. Do you know what which community had the least children born out of wedlock 70 years ago? The black community. It has been reversed over the space of 3 generations, and that is politics, and it is a tragedy. Also, the abortion rate, the great sacred cow of Planned Parenthood. Who gets killed the most? Who gets killed the most in the womb? Black children. They are destroying black culture to have a political plantation, and it is truly, truly tragic. And everything these brainwashed kids are chanting about on the streets will make the future of the black community and the poor community in America even worse. Really? Defund the police? So what happens when you dial 911? You're going to get a disconnected tone. That'll be great for the ghettos and for the poor parts of America.
All right, Dr. Sebastian.
So hard
Gorka.
to draw him out and get an opinion. It's just so hard, like pulling teeth.
We have a good time here, I tell you what. All right, Dr. Sebastian Gorka, catch him today at 12 noon right here on AM 870, The Answer, America First, and 8 p.m. on AM 590, The Answer. Seb, we love you. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Seb.
God bless you,
nice
guys.
to meet you.